Hey y'all, this is AL Thick Madame, and this is the recap review for Tyler Perry's Sistas. So, the episode started out with, of course, where it left off last time. Karen came into Andy's apartment. Gary's on his way out. He over here trying to explain to Karen that he really do love her friend. And she like, yeah, you was on your way out, right? You was leaving, right? Oh, okay. So she's trying to talk to the dummy Andy. And she ain't trying to hear nothing she talking about. And Karen can tell that this heifer really done went off on the deep end to the point of where she done took Tiffany's box. She done reached over the back of the sink and she is trying to, you know, I don't know if she really was going to do it, but she was going to put the garbage disposal on and put it down the sink. I think that's what she was doing. The water was on, but I'm pretty sure she had a garbage disposal. And Andy was fighting with her tooth and nail. And I'm talking about yelling and some more. And then eventually she stopped tussling with her. And she was like, you gonna marry that man, ain't you? Why are you doing this? You seem to have everything together except this. And so, of course, Andy tries to deflect and was like, you know you still love Zach. And I'm just like, why do you keep deflecting? The moment is about you and your stupidity in this moment. You know what you're doing. You know how Gary is trash. You know what he's done to you. I don't understand why people want to live in the very, very few moments that were good, if you will, instead of focusing on the very recent past of this man almost killing you. Heifer, you blacked out. That's how tight he was holding you. You still have bruised ribs right now, but you living for him. But then you over here trying to tell her, well, I didn't say I was going to marry him. She was like, but you didn't say, that you weren't going to marry him. So it's like, you still love him. You still doing them. Like, girl, she ain't trying to hear it. This heifer that got her feeling. She was like, he came over here. He's a good man. He's getting a divorce. Here are the divorce papers right here. And she was like, that you can't do this. I'm not going to let you do this. Karen trying to be a good friend. This heifer ain't trying to hear it. It's to the point where this heifer was like, I'm going to bed. Because she tried to tell her to get out. She was like, I ain't going nowhere. So she was like, you know what? I'm going to bed. I don't want to fall out with you and all this other stuff. Please leave. She wasn't hearing it. Then she told her she was going to bed. I'm just like, girl, you're doing the most for somebody who is trash. I don't understand why her standards are so low. Yeah, Gary looked good. Yeah, Gary has money, but he's trash. Sabrina and Jacoby are still at the bar, and Jacoby promises to try to, kind of lighten up Omari's and try to be understanding of him and all of that. And so Jacoby starts basically trying to pressure Sabrina into going back to her place. And she was like, well, I'm not going to continue to drink and all this other stuff. And he was like, okay, that's fine. I don't want to drink alone. And so she was like, well, you won't be drinking alone. There are other people here and, you can continue to drink. He talking about getting a ride share. She was like, look, I'm going to drive home. So she ain't finished her wine. He had a beer and he was like, you know what? Okay, I'm done. Finished his beer. And he was like, look, I want to come by your house. He like just kept on talking about going to her house. And I'm like, why is he so pressed to go to her house? He, like, first of all, even though this ain't no better, he ain't say, well, won't you come by my house or whatever. He just kept saying, I can come to your house and I can drink there. And then I can, get a ride from there, or you could take me home or whatever and all this other stuff. I'm trying to understand why is he like, well, ain't nothing to understand. He doing the most. So eventually he tells her how beautiful she is. He loves her face. He loves her hair. He loves her skin. He loves that dress she has on. And she was like, okay. I hear you. I appreciate all of that. And so he was like, see, you funny. And so she was like, what is that supposed to mean? And, he was just like not here for her response to him basically complimenting her and all that. And I mean, you really shouldn't be like, oh my God, she said that was beautiful. Oh God, now I need to drop these draws and then spread these butt cheeks. So, I mean, Ultimately, this heifer still agreed to let him come by. She talking about, you gonna have one drink and then you're gonna go home, okay? And I'm like, girl, you done fell for the okie doke. As soon as he roll up on your neck, up on your butt cheeks, come from behind you, you are gonna be like putting in his hands. I don't even know why you setting yourself up for failure, but I'm gonna watch it. Jacoby fine, so I understand, but I really feel like either it's gonna be something with him, or it's gonna end up being a love triangle, and she will have to choose between him and Calvin. So we'll see how that pans out. Karen called Aaron and told him that, she was on her way home and she was just now leaving Andy's house. And so he was like, it's late. Have you had something to eat? And she was like, no. So he was like, well, would you like me to pick something up and bring it over? And she was like, show. Oh my gosh. Anyway, the way she says sure, I don't know. I ain't even that country, but anyway, I just noticed that the way she says sure, it's a lot sometimes. I ain't trying to, judge her. I know that a lot of the things that I say, I'm doing a lot, but it's in me. But a lot of the people that I grew up with who are very country, they don't even say sure like that. They say show. But not the way she said. Like, she put a whole lot on it. But anyway, I digress. Let me stop. So anyway, he was like, okay, well, I'll pick up some Italian. Hold on to everything. Don't say anything until I get there. I want to be able to support you fully, and, just save everything until I get there. So she was like, okay. So he finna go get the food and she finna head to the house. So the dinner is still going terrible at Danny's place because Danny is being pretty rude to Preston and his sister. So his sister just basically finished her food and left. And Danny was like, yeah, I think that's a good idea. But while all of this was going on before the sister even left, Danny was making these comments like, yeah, I was just like, girl, y'all, my thing is this. I understand that everything happened the way it did at Danny's job, but Preston's sister has never done anything to give off the impression that she's anything like them. And Preston has already told her that his sister ain't like that. So for her to continuously be rude to her, and, I'm just like, girl, like, she really tried to make it seem like, well, yeah, I grew up like this. So, of course I feel like this, and, ooh, I have a right to feel this way. And she really started trying to mimic the way that they speak. And she kept talking about darling. Like, she really kept trying it. And I'm like, girl, the sister was better than how I would have been. Because it's like, you ain't got to go there. You are obviously picking and poking at them collectively. Even though you really trying to get at the sister. And she is trying to get at Preston too. Because she's so upset that he did not text her or call her to let her know that he wanted to have dinner with the sister, and he was going to invite his sister over and all this other stuff. And I'm just like, girl, you really going to do all of this? Like, it's really worth all of that. So yeah, the sister left, and Danny in her feelings, and while he's saying his goodbyes to his sister, she get up and she started clearing the table. And so he went back in there. He was like, you do not have to be like that. I already told you my sister's not like that. And so she was just like, look, I don't want to do this. I don't like it. You could have given me a heads up. And, he was like, I'm sorry. I didn't think I needed to do that, given the fact that you invited me to stay at your place, and that's my sister. And so she was like, no, you should have told me something. It would have been nice. So then he was like, you know what? I already know where this is going. So he was basically going to leave. And so she was like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. And then he had picked up his bag and was about to walk out the door. And she told him to, basically come back so they could talk. And she was like, look, I'm having a hard time right now. And, earlier in the conversation, this is what it was. He said, she's having a hard time trusting people right now. And she was like, yeah, I'm having a hard time trusting people because, your brothers came up to my job and called me a nigger bee and all these other things. So yeah, I'm having a hard time trusting people. I'm having a hard time. I grew up black and ashy. Like, she did the absolute most. And my thing is, I'm not trying to invalidate her feelings because of what happened to her. It is still pretty traumatic, even though she handled her own. It's just, she did not have to go there with him. I would have had like a quick sidebar with him and be like, why didn't you tell me your sister was coming? And I mean, I would have taken it stride. I've had moments where when I was with my ex, I didn't know his mom was coming. He already knew. And I'm over here looking crazy. I'm over here having to create a dish out of thin air like I'm Houdini or somebody. I don't like being put on the spot. I like being fully prepared when it comes to somebody popping up and all that. If somebody gonna be in the midst, I need to know. You lucky I had ingredients for cornbread. People live for my corn. Like, I'm saying this because people live for me making my cornbread from scratch. I make desserts and not well made because anyway, y'all will learn what I'm talking about later on. I ain't gonna go into those specifics, but I'm just saying, like, had I not had certain things on hand, I would have been looking crazy. And it's like, you doing this? I don't like being put on the spot, but it's not like she had any cleaning to do because he had cleaned the house. Not like she had any cooking to do. He had already done the cooking, and he does the cooking. So it's like, I feel like in this instance, all she had to do was pull him to the side and was like, you should have just, told me for future reference. Please just let me know there's something like this going down. But anyway, all in all, she was like, you know what, I need some time to think. Can you just take a walk and then, come back? And so he was like, okay. So he had his bag still in his hand, and she was like, please put your bag down. And I'm like, Heather, you live for him. So stop trying to push him away and give him a chance to love you fully, because you've apparently never had someone to do right by you, and he has been doing everything right and then some. So give that man that chance. Woo, child. Okay, wait, I gotta get my life together. Okay, so we had to see where Fatima has invited Hayden over to her house, right? And so, he talking about, oh, well, how's your night been? She said, well, first she asked how was his night. He said, it's been great. How was yours? She was like, interesting. So he was like, oh, okay, how so? So she done poured the wine up, and she said, Zach's in jail. Here he is. Oh, really? Try to act like he don't know what's up. So anyway, he was like, well, he is ex-con, right? Man, he really tried to play her. And so she was like, don't you want to know what for? He was like, no. She was like, are you sure you don't want to know why? And he was like, no. So she was like, I know you put him in there. So he was like, what are you talking about? I don't understand. So she was like, my neighbors have cameras. Some dude named Leon lives for him and will do anything that he asks him to do. And so she was like, Leon put that dope in the car. Leon put them drugs in the car. I saw the cameras. So then, instead of this fool saying, dang, I done got caught up, I was sloppy, or just admitting defeat, he goes straight into, why is it that you don't like me? What is it about me? Why don't you like me like that? She was like, you know what? Let me make this clear. Let me break it down for you. I don't like you. It was a mistake for me to go out on a date with you. It was terrible. We went out one time. He was like, I don't understand. She was like, are you really that, I don't even know why I just lost the word. Obsessed with, she didn't say obsessed. I don't know why I can't think of the word. Wait a minute, I'm trying to think of the word real quick. It'll come to me. But she was just like, are you really that obsessed with me? That you just doing all this? Like, this ain't making no sense to me. I don't understand. Oh my gosh. This fool really just said it all. And She had to straight up tell him, we went out one time. He was like, it was amazing. You're an amazing woman. I don't understand why you don't like me. I don't understand what. She was like, I'm not attracted to you. You do nothing for me. She told him the one time they had sex, it was trash. And she had to tell him that the semi-hard member situation is not appealing at all. And he was like, oh, you really gonna do me like that? She ran him for filth and told him to get out and take the cheap wine with him. I'm done. I'm over. I'm done. She told him if he's not out before she get up in the morning, get him out tonight. If he's not out by the time she get up in the morning, that he gonna have a problem. She gonna get her boss and his boss together, and some hands gonna get to rolling. It's just gonna be what it's gonna be. Fasima done went all the way off. Maurice went down to the little club situation where the butt liquor worked, and he was talking to him and the other bartender, and he was trying to get some information. So he was like, you said Calvin was doing some crystal meth. And so he was like, you a lie. I don't know why you lying, but you a lie. He was like, no, I saw him. I know what I'm talking about. So the other dude, that's the other bartender, he was like, no, he don't do meth. And so it just got to a point where him and Maurice basically tag teamed him and was like, you need to stop lying. He ain't doing nothing. So then he was like, well, he found out that he had actually been there like an hour prior and had met up with some dude. So he was like, what you mean? He met up with some big black dude. He told me he was going out on a date with a woman. So he was like, well, there was no woman. They were like, there was no woman. He was with some dude in here. And so Maurice was confused. And so he's gotten to a point now where he kind of think that Sabrina might have been on to some earlier on in their situationship that they were trying to develop. So now he's just like, the other dude had to tell him like, he's not gay or anything. He's not bi, none of that. Like, what are you talking about? He's straight. He was like, yeah, he is straight, but he's been doing some stuff lately that's been making me think he's straight with a twist. So then it just got to the point where butt liquor was doing the most. And so Maurice told him that he wanted a margarita, and he was like, well, we're out of the mixer, so I'm gonna have to go get that and then I'll come back. So he get on out the way. And so he was like, yeah, I had to get rid of him. He was like, I know. So apparently butt liquor is very exhausting. And I mean, well, I can tell that anyway, but yeah. So he was like, okay, now back to the situation with you seeing Calvin with this man. What were they talking about? What was going on? He was like, I don't know. Like, they were just talking. That was it. He was like, so they wasn't hugged up or nothing. He was like, no, he's straight. Why are you even saying this? So anyway, he was like, I don't know what's going on, but he told me he was going to be with a woman tonight. And then he was like, well, I know what's going on, you and your feelings. And he brought up some dude that he used to be with named Juan. And so he was like, I'm over him. I don't know what you're talking about. He was in here earlier or whatever. And so he was like, it doesn't matter. I'm over him now. And so I don't know. I don't think he over whoever this Juan dude is, but I don't know if he was good for him anyway from the way the conversation was going. So then old boy popped back up with a margarita. First, second, and third of all, that wasn't no margarita. That was a half of a swallow. And I was like, why is we trying to make it seem like that was a margarita? Did y'all see that glass? I was like, what is going on? That was the little reservoir of the little bit of the half of a swallow of a margarita leaves when you're basically done with said margarita. What is going, like, y'all, I was like, what is we doing? That is not a margarita. Y'all is really trying it. But anyway, I want to know what's going on and who was this dude. Aaron has made it over to Karen's house and he's, asking, what happened, what's going on. And she was like, don't try to act like you don't know what's going on. Have you talked to Gary, whatever. So anyway, she's just like, look, I'm trying to protect my friend Andy. Gary is not a good person for her. He has hurt her. They don't need to be together. So he gave her some biblical rundown of how some people got to go through certain things and God is putting these things in their life. So she's like, so what you trying to say, God wants her to be abused? And he was like, no. And basically just told her that people have to see things for themselves in order to understand that that's not what they need. They gotta, be taught this lesson. Ultimately, is what she was trying to explain. So anyway, she was like, you know what? I ain't trying to hear you. You're talking like a preacher. I ain't really trying to hear all that. I just want you to hold me. So eventually, he started holding her or whatever, and so she was like, you know how you can make it up to me, and all of that, and so they ran into the bedroom, and I'm like, okay, if y'all aren't gonna have sex, what is he gonna do? Is he gonna rub you down? Like, what's gonna happen? Anything that y'all do is gonna kind of lead y'all down that road again. So I'm like, it's just a lot. Even if it's a foot rub, you already know that could become very erotic to a lot of people. So girl, bye. Anyway, Sabrina is at her house with old boy, and they're finishing up their last drink, and he, kind of coming on to her, and she was like, no, I don't want to have anything else to drink. He really trying to crack the bottle open again. And she was like, we have to work in the morning. And he was like, I know. So she was like, I thought that you said that you called someone. He was like, I did call my ride share. And so she was like, let me see your phone. He was like, let me see your phone. And so she was like, yeah, I'm gonna have to get to know you a little bit better before I do that. He was like, yeah, that's what I thought. So she just gonna have to trust that he has done this. I don't think he has really done anything. I think that he gonna wait until she kick him out before he actually goes through an app or actually calls somebody to come and pick him up. So anyway, trying to get him to get out. And like, didn't I tell y'all earlier he was gonna get that neck? So they hugged. First of all, he kissed her hand, and then they hugged, and he was trying to go in for that neck. And he was hard. And so she was like, what is that? What is going on? And she was like, are you hard right now? I'm like, girl, what is this innocent act? You just gotta stop. Stop trying to act like you don't know what's going on. So anyway, oh my gosh. She was like, are you gonna cover that before you leave? I do have neighbors, and I'm pretty sure they can see that from the moon. He was like, I'm sure they can. And he gonna ask her if she wanna see it. She was like, stop being nasty. Like, oh my gosh, no, I don't wanna see that. Girl, bye. You wanna see, feel, touch, and some more. So anyway, try to get her to, get him to go ahead and leave. She has to open the door because he really trying to roll up. He tried to come in for a kiss, and she curved him, and he was like, oh, curved. Man, Jacoby fine. Jacoby fine. She a good one, because most people would have had to go ahead and bust it wide open one time for him, because yeah. But she got him to leave. Fatima is up, and then she gets a knock at the door, and it is Zach. She is greeting him with a kiss, and, he is feeling like it is so surreal that he's even out and in total disbelief. But he know it gotta be something. So he was like, did you call somebody? Like, what's going on? And at first she didn't want to say nothing, and then she, went on ahead and told him that it was Hayden. He set him up, and all that. And he was like, see, I knew it was something with him. I knew it. Guys like him don't stop. He gonna keep on coming after me. And she was like, no, I have proof, so you ain't gotta worry about that. She keeps putting his mind at ease. So now that his mind is really at ease, he feels a little bit more comfortable. And he's like, you haven't lied to me yet. And so she was like, yeah, I know. And of course, he's trying to get her to get in the shower with him. And she was like, no, I had to beg a friend of a friend to do this. So no, girl, you need to get back in that shower, because to me, her hair really curly was really cute. So, I mean, it's cute now, but I'm just saying that straight, that completely bone straight was not it. As far as, I think it's the length for that. It just wasn't it. Now, if it had been asymmetrical, maybe, and layered a little bit, maybe, but no. The curls, to me, pop. So anyway, yeah, I'm just like, girl, I'm sorry, I would have had to go ahead and get in that shower. Danny is at the house up late, waiting on Preston to get home, and he has come, and they had a little conversation, and she has agreed to, express herself and allow him to continue what he is in the middle of saying instead of flying off the handle. And he told her, I'm gonna need you to try a little bit harder, and they made up. They're apparently about to go, make up. Y'all, we at the end of the episode, and Maurice then got home, and he hears Calvin, and apparently whoever the dark skinned big black man was that the bartenders saw down at the place, and he is trying to. I'm saying to myself, open the door so we can see if sex is actually happening or if it's gonna be something else. Y'all, the old dude that came out the room, I don't know if he's naked or what, but Maurice is just like, and so he talking about they finna go. He about to go for round 4. And I'm like, what is they doing? If it's not, I feel like they gonna trick us. I feel like they're gonna trick us into thinking that it's sex, but it's something else. But if he is having sex with this man, Maurice was getting turned on, y'all. This is a lot. Anyway, hopefully y'all enjoy this recap review. Please thumbs up this video for me. Let's get down in the comments section and discuss this episode. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.